Being an associate professor is something that is great. It tells you that you're on the right track to the peak of your career. So I feel elated and very excited about it. And I see that as something that is telling you that, of course, what you're doing is relevant, but you still have to do more to get to the peak of the career. So very exciting indeed. My research area is computation and systems biology with specific focus on drug discovery and development, and that is fitting into the plant biotechnology focus research focus area of the university. So if you look at what I talked about in terms of drug discovery and development, it's something that is very relevant within the context of Africa, wherein we are afflicted with a number of degenerative and debilitating diseases. So we are trying to see how we can offer a solution in our own little way to identify and discover new moieties in terms of drugs or drug candidates that could be used against these debilitating diseases like cancer, diabetes, and antimicrobial resistance, which when you look at the statistics in Africa and specifically in South Africa, you will see that they are skyrocketing on an annual basis. These are some of the things that inspire me to want to contribute to humanity and help to alleviate some of the sufferings that are attendant in terms of these debilitating diseases that I talked about. We're trying to build libraries of compounds that could be developed as therapeutics or drug candidates, and we currently have more than 150 library of compounds that we have against 3 types of diseases, basically. That is antimicrobial resistance, focusing on current sensing and penicillin binding protein of some of the pathogens. We call them the escape pathogens or clinically significant pathogens that are very common around. So we are trying to build a library of compound against them, and also for diabetes, specifically type 2 diabetes. And when you look at the ranking of non-communicable diseases in South Africa, you see that diabetes ranked number 2. And that is why we are trying to see how we can contribute in providing solution in terms of identifying and developing therapeutics or drugs in this direction. So that's what inspires us. As I said, we've been able to identify drugs that we are already preparing, or our findings on them, we are preparing them for patent. Currently, we are filing that. And we are also trying to develop some of the ones in the library that we've prepared for further preclinical and clinical evaluation, so that they could be properly registered as marketable drugs or supplement or nutraceuticals. This is something that is very inspiring, and we're still on it. We're going in that direction. Undergraduate and postgrad are already involved in my research team, and maybe if you have been following what we do in my research team, maybe this is another opportunity to talk about it. We emerged as the best research group in last year's DUT's institutional award function. That is against what we did in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. So, and if you look at the component of my research team, you have from honor student up to postdoctoral fellows. So it's quite a very harmonizing team, and I have a number of students across the different layers from honors to postdoctoral fellowship. And specifically for the undergrads, I share some of the interesting findings that we have had over the years with them in the class whenever I teach, and that is inspiring to them, and that is why you see some of them wanting to be in my research group for their honors, masters, or PhD. I will look at that in 2 ways. When you look at the 4th industrial revolution, people are talking about even the 5th industrial or 6th industrial revolution now. What I do is basically computational and systems biology research, focusing on drug discovery, as I've highlighted. So we try to see how students could be digitally compliant and competitive with their peers. if you look at that, it's something that resonates well, and every establishment, not just the department, not just the faculty, not just the institution. This is something everybody wants to be AI compliant, artificial intelligence, and that is the infusion that I have in my research. And we are trying to see how we can have locally competitive graduates that can compete everywhere, whether locally or internationally, with their skills in computational and be it bioinformatics, that's the general word we use, with a blend of artificial intelligence. So you will see that this is something that resonates well with the principles and the Vision 2030 of the Durban University of Technology, which the faculty keys into, and at the same time my department. Society is something that is very important, and you could say that is well written and enshrined in DUT's Vision 2030. So when you go for conferences or workshops beyond the four walls of the university, you're likely to meet your peers, you exchange ideas, you're able to foster new relationships and engagement, you're able to network, and you're also to disseminate your findings. With this, you are contributing in your own way to the scientific society where you find yourself, and by so doing, you are also trying to collaborate and network with your peers, thereby trying to portray what you do in your group as well as your department, your faculty, and in such fora, you are an ambassador of your university, and that is what we do, and we're trying to represent well. In doing that, we also try to establish, as I said, new collaborations and networks of partnership so that we could sustain what we do, where we have areas where we could not probably have those facilities that are readily available. We try to see during those kind of engagement like conferences or workshops to see whether you can link up with those that have such in their own universities, and this has been working. I had the honor of being announced as the best senior researcher of the year of the university. I think that was also great, and that also come simultaneously with the faculty award of the senior researcher of the year. So those are the most recent, and before then, internally and externally, I think in the preceding year also, I was also the emerging researcher of the faculty and of the university, as well as if we look at the external accolades and awards, I was part of the 2021-2022 Future Professors Program of the Department of Higher Education and Training. And I think I was the first from DUT that was part of that program. I'm not sure if there is anyone yet after me. And currently I'm also the secretary of the Vaccine Preventable Diseases Focus Group of the African CDC. And when you talk about African CDC, everybody understands what that means. We're trying to look at or provide technical experts to African CDC on vaccine preventable diseases in the continent.